Hey, Tom. Thomas Jefferson.
What?
Are there words in there that you don't understand?
Just give me a sec. Okay. Okay. Let me read it over one more time. Now you all wait just a goddamn minute. We are proposing to amend our Constitution. And before we ratify this document, I want to read it over one more motherfucking time. Yeah, you got a problem with that? We can take this to the alley. And I'll show you what Thomas motherfucking Jefferson is all about! No? Good.
Tommy. What exactly do you take issue with?
I like it, Mad Dog. Seriously, there's some good shit in here, but you know, writer to writer. I mean, I admit I'm probably too close to the Constitution, because you know, I just want to make sure that everything's copacetic. Cool.
But is there anything in particular?
This is the first Congress in the history of America, and we're already putting limits on what we can do as a legislative body. I just want to read the fucker over, and then we can go vote to ratify it, and then we'll all go for a beer. On me. All right?
All right, brother. Take your time.
Oh, Miss Ishmael, how are you liking Duluth so far?
It's really beautiful up here. Cold though.
Yeah, it gets cold early up here than in the cities. I hope you weren't waiting too long.
Oh, I understand. I'm sure you're very busy.
What can I do for you?
Well, Mr. Isaacson.
Call me Bob.
Okay, Bob. I'm concerned about a few things regarding Billy.
Such as?
Well, he's been having nightmares. He's been quieter than usual lately. Let's face it, he's a quiet little guy to begin with, and this is an awkward stage, plus a new school.
Miss Ishmael, I'm sure it's nothing to worry about.
What about the bruises? Should I be worried about them?
Miss Ishmael.
No, I'm sorry, but my son is coming home from school with scrapes and bruises.
Boys will be boys, Mrs. Ishmael.
And having nightmares about getting taunted, chased, and beaten up. He says he's getting picked on.
By whom exactly?
According to Billy, there's been a group of black boys bullying him.
I wouldn't call it a group.
What would you call it then?
Miss Ishmael, this is Duluth. There's barely enough black families in town to constitute a group.
Well, whatever you want to call them, they're picking on my son. This isn't racism, you understand. That's just what's happening.
Unfortunately, Miss Ishmael, this can be attributed to a couple things. Kids this age, boys in particular, need structure. They need to know what the pecking order is. There's posturing. There's one-upsmanship. Then you throw girls into the mix and now they have someone to impress.
I understand that, Bob, but what I want to know is what you plan to do about it.
Miss Ishmael, have you seen the movie The Karate Kid?
Yes, that little, what's his name? Smith is so cute.
No, not that one. That was crap. First of all, they're supposed to be in China. Anyway, Ralph Macchio moves them from
Oh, the Karate Kid from the 80s, yeah. One of my husband's favorites. He hated the new one too. Arnold from Happy Days, right?
Right. Okay. So, here's a list of karate schools in the area.
You want us to enroll Billy in karate class?
Well, I think it's the best for him to be able to defend himself, and who knows? You might even find him an old Japanese father figure.
He has a father.
Or you could always just change Billy's name to Sissy Boy.
Excuse me?
Oh, you heard me.
Hold on a minute. We are putting Billy under your care. This is happening on your watch. You're telling me that you condone violence in your school?
Me? Condone violence. I think that if we took a look at the culture that I come from and the culture that you come from, you wouldn't make such an accusation.
Culture that what does my culture have to do?
Historically speaking, your culture has incited more violence than all in the name of your God.
You're telling me this is all because of religion?
Well, you're new to town.
That doesn't mean that my son should have to put up with.
I understand that, Mrs. Ishmael. But you have to understand the climate of the times. This community is still recovering from one of the most egregious acts of terrorism in the history of the state. And to be blunt, those terrorists were believers of your particular brand of, what you call it? Faith?
If you don't mind my asking, what brand of faith do you follow?
Well, I consider myself more spiritual than religious, which helps with the job because it's not my place to install any kind of values into the students here.
What about tolerance? Respect?
Duluth Superior Junior High is a public school, Mrs. Ishmael. Rather than teach our students to respect other cultures and religions, we'd rather they check that stuff at the door.
You have to be kidding me.
And furthermore, I don't need a lecture about tolerance from someone who thinks that everyone who disagrees with them is going to burn in some eternal fire.
You don't know the first thing about what I believe.
Aren't you guys the ones who, for centuries, have been sending missionaries around the world to convert people to your religion, telling people that their beliefs are wrong, and that everyone should believe what you believe, spreading from country to country like a virus, infecting people with your beliefs? Does that ring a bell?
Mr. Isaacson,
Bob.
Bob, my family came to this country to escape religious persecution. Yes, there are some people who see it as their duty to quote-unquote save non-believers, but there are those of us who just want a better life for ourselves and our children. So, this group of black boys...
Well, let's just call it a clique.
Fine. This clique of black boys is